they feel like there's some legal exposure if the cities don't buy in, and they're asking us, pleading with us, to do the same on affordable housing as they are. We just keep not doing it. So they asked me to communicate that concern to you.
Okay, could we pause here and ask Mr. Rollins from our planning commission what ordinances are ready to, have a public hearing? Is that possible, so we can check that against this list?
I don't know if I can remember them all off the top of my head, but I know the ridge line was part of it. Trails was part of it. Tony can probably help me out here. The highway access.
May 24th, Planning Commission discussion. A, Land Use Plan Amendment. B, Transportation Plan Amendment. C, Trails Plan. D, Trails Ordinance. E, Rural Highway Setback Ordinance. F, Ridgeline Ordinance. G, RA-1 Residential Agricultural Zone. H, Wildland Interface Code, and I, North Village Code. Now, it's been mentioned that apparently will be moved to the 24th because of high school graduation, but that's the list that we were provided last night. Is that?
That's correct. So the top two, the land use plan and the transportation plan, need to be altered based on the council's adjustment to the annexation policy plan boundaries. Other than that, the other eight. Yeah, so just those two need to be finished up. The others are ready for discussion next week and for a public hearing on June 7th. The other two...
so no slow.
But are you moving to June 7th to move it down again, the hearing, aren't you?
The public hearing was, we were going to hold a public hearing on the 24th, but we were asked to delay that because of the graduation.
So
we're just going to have a discussion and then do the public hearing on the 7th.
Okay.
But so we don't have a slope ordinance proposed yet. And the North Village ordinance, is it ready or is it going to take more time?
Well, it's more complex. I don't know how detailed the discussion or how hard that's going to be to get through, but the hope is that would happen.
It's not ready.
The county has some zones we don't have, right? Even in our...
Yeah, the North Village Code.
That's the one we're talking about.
We have a representative here from the Sorensen. I think it'd be helpful to maybe hear his comments on a couple of things that if there were any things that you think we need to clarify to help the council.
Well, I certainly think that your conversation back and forth is great. So I'm hoping that the county and the city are coming closer together than they probably ever have been before. I hope that that's what's happening through this process. I mean, that's from the beginning. That's what we've always said, right? We want to see probably the past be the past, and have the future between these two entities be more positive than what it has been. So I think it is great to see that. I'm fine that, if we've got to be the guys that get thrown under the bus and everybody seems to talk about the Sorensens and calculate this about the Sorensens and talk about the Sorensen traffic going down Coyote Lane, I just want to reiterate, I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And the worst possible thing that can happen is that we get misinformation and bad information here. To say that we were going to shove all the traffic down Coyote Lane in the county plan or in some potential future city plan is not correct. That is not correct in any way, shape, or form. To say that Sorensen only has one way to get out, and that's through through Coyote Lane, that is far from the truth. I just want to make sure that we get clear what the issues that are important are. And I think the issues that you're talking about are the important issues, not whether Sorensen is in or out or those things. I think the zoning's important, the plan's important, the North Village Code's important. Those elements are the important elements. I think a lot of the other things will work themselves out, through time.
But part of this is that the Sorensen's in. I did some calculations. It has a terribly big effect. And it's not that we don't want to consider it, but the amount, I got these numbers from Tony. The current acreage of Heber is 5661. And the acreage of the proposed annexation area that we were looking at was 19,731. And of that, Sorensen's was 11,539. Now that doesn't
Of
mean...
acre, you see acres?
Yeah.
Our
Not that you're gonna develop all of it.
Well, no,
Let me finish my comment. I have the floor. I calculated from that the annexation area that we were talking about was 14,070 acres, and the Sorensen piece was 25, other than Sorensen, was 2,531. So you represent 82% of the proposed annexation area. And if we annexed all of your area in, you would be 58% of the total Heber. So we can't say that it wouldn't.
You mean just by acreage? By
Acreage
Okay.
and the potential
Population.
in that acreage. If just you came in and not the other lands, just you alone, you'd be 67% of the acreage of Heber. And there's been an argument that, gee, if we don't hurry and annex here or whatever, or hope you come, we won't have any influence. Well, I don't know how much influence the current residents will have when we're less than about a third of the residents when it's all done. So
Well, but that's-
we have to talk about...
No, but that's by acreage, right? Because our approved units in the county is units, not ERUs. That was clarified in our last master plan update, that we are going by units, not ERUs, was 5,770. And I assume that there's currently more than 5,770 residents in the city of Heber now, right? Do we know?
Well, but I don't know about units. Some units hold 5 or 6 people, so I don't know how you're defining units.
A household.
Well, we have households. What's our average household?
Not average household size, but how many total households do you have in the city of Heber?
1,600, but I'm just...
1,500?
I thought it was 1,600.
No, we have over 4,000 water connections west of there.
Okay, so that's not includes every water connections, 4,000 water connections. So yes, we would, our project alone would double the size of Heber.
But your estimated build-out time is?
And look, we'd love to say it would be 20 years. I mean, that would be the most, the fastest we would think that anything could possibly happen. But it's taken me 6 years to do the 2 phases, which is 200 units, right?
So by that time, Heber will theoretically have double what we have now, in 30 years.
Let's just say 30, 40 years, right? I mean, I think we've looked at 34 or 40-year time windows. What we can say, as it relates to traffic, is that when we ran our traffic model at the county, our current, or at least our traffic engineer, along with the county, determined that we would generate somewhere about 50,000 trips, I think, onto Highway 40. When I say we, that area, that general area.
All of the acreage or just part north of Coyote Lane or?
All of it, that whole area, area going to Francis, okay?
That'd be your 5770 units.
Not just the 5770, I think that includes all of the developable area in that area.
Talisman.
Which would include Victory Ranch, Talisman, Cummings, all of the North Village coming, all of that section.
Because some of those were what?
3 of those are under one name now, they've all been bought.
They have, but I'm just referencing those properties, right? That whole
Those are the
area.
ones we refer to.
Bolden Ranch or
So we're told that our traffic on Main Street is roughly 30,000 from there.
Yeah, that's what I.
If you add 50, it would double Highway 40
Yeah.
plus another.
Well, I mean, it could. I mean, that's what the traffic model says, right? But of course, we know that we have 3 times that number of residents coming through, in and out, including midday and whatever, out of
Within our nucleus.
within your nucleus coming here, right? So I mean, you look at that with a grain of salt, saying, well, we may double in size, but are we really going to go 3 to 4 times the amount of traffic? Like, we probably will double the amount of traffic, but not go 4 times the size.
I'd like to point out, though, I think I understand why you have the feeling that you do, but I don't believe that Councilman Crittenden here, County Council from Crittenden, was throwing you under the bus or putting misinformation out. The plan that the county has, if you were to stay in the which I will clearly say now, and as an individual citizen, not representing the county, I think that the type of development that's been approved out there most appropriately belongs in the city, not in the county. So I hope to not be killed on the way out for saying that. But I don't think they're thrown under the bus because you're part. Yeah, no, sorry, I'm in trouble. Because the presumption is, I think on your part, is that every piece of property, not just your development, but the other developments around, would all be annexed into Heber, therefore you would have more than one route out. However, if only your property were to come along, or some key properties that people would have to cross were not in Heber, it's not guaranteed that the traffic plan that the county approved would be in place. You see what I mean? Do you understand the distinction?
I do understand the difference, but that's not the case either. We did not plan for we planned for very limited traffic, if no traffic at all, coming down Coyote. The majority of the traffic, if not all of the traffic, went out to Highway 32 and then down to 40.
There was a connection piece that we saw on the map last night that showed that it was another property that's not owned by your development, of which you would have to cross, which would not be part of the plan if that property is not annexed into Heber. And I mean, this is a very detailed thing, so maybe we should need to sit down and talk about it. But I think that's what Councilmember Crenton was referring to. And I don't believe it was his intent to throw you under the bus. To mention your development by name, I think we have to.
No, that's okay. And I don't mind. Again, I don't mind being, I don't mind being talked about, identified. I'm not trying to hide here. We're an open book. We're happy to share with you all the traffic numbers, the transportation plan, all of those things. But no one understand that even our approved master plan in the county identified that clearly and where the traffic was going. And it wasn't coming down Coyote Lane. It was not coming down Big Pole.
Well, it depends on how the other parts develop in the county or in the city. Might or might not determine that. That's what I was expressing.
The city can't approve development that the roads can't handle. They may have to get right of ways from these other properties to get to the highway.
I hope that's the case.
Well, if the road...
The whole roadway network, sorry, Mark, go ahead. The whole roadway network there, we're not the only property owner, obviously, in North Village, right? We clearly know that. There are a lot of property owners across the face in the North Village. The transportation plan there, and that was developed with the aid of the county, it drives that everyone works together. There's a transportation master plan that ensures that the traffic circulates and make connection points and ties to these intersections that you're talking about with UDOT.
I agree, but we need to do that transportation plan before we propose to annex the area. That's what the discussion here has been.
I am not arguing any of that, right? I am not, like I said, I think the dialogue as it relates to those things that's what you guys need to do. That's what's the helpful part of this process. I just want to make sure that when we talk about traffic counts and this and that, and that we're going to owe $53 million, and so you've got to put in the affordable housing plan. That I just want to make sure that let's not. No, it's not accurate at all, because according to the county's ordinance, you can pay a fee in lieu, you can build affordable housing, or you can give the property for affordable housing. All three of those elements. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to write a check for $53 million.
So let's use those three. Does he really have those three pieces in place?
I don't think they have an ordinance in place.
Well,
Right.
That's the point.
That's exactly it.
I totally get that. I think that's why that is on their list to adopt it. And that's why it was on your list, making sure.
It wasn't on the list till tonight.
Yes.
That's the point. We're adding things that need to be on the list.
And I think that is great dialogue. Just so you know, I'm not, I think all of that is good and helpful. I just want to make sure that when we're talking about information, I just hate these things that get thrown out there.
But it was accurate. There were three options, okay, but that was one of them.
Well, that you pay a fee in lieu.
Right, that's accurate.
Well, but why didn't we mention the other two options?
I'm sorry.
Equivalence.
We can mention everything, but okay,
But you see what I'm saying? I mean, I mean, you're trying to make a point, I get that, but let's just make sure it's an accurate point.
It is accurate. It was accurate, okay, but, yeah, we didn't list everything, but there's no ordinance at all in place.
Yes, there is. The city has an affordable housing ordinance.
It's voluntary.
Well, but this is an annexation, and we can exact things during an annexation.
If you don't have it in place, you can.
Sure we can.
Yeah, you can, absolutely. Absolutely.
Anyway, I mean, I'm here, if you have questions for me, I'm happy to answer the questions. I think that the dialogue and the things that you guys need to come together on are the things that you guys need to do and come together on. I support that, we wholeheartedly support it.
We get it.
Supported the county.
We get it.
And their work and their effort. And so, again, that's, I just want to make sure that we talk.
I think
Does that make sense?
the point is well taken.
Okay.
Because maybe we can't list all inclusive in everything that we say in every conversation. But I do understand what you're doing is that try to be as complete as possible.
Correct. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, I guess,
Because I think what you guys are trying to do is good.
the reason Sorensen's in the discussion, I guess, you said, you know what, we've been asking for how long, what's driving this, well, we've had people talk, well, who? Well, that's right, that didn't come out till this last week, who? That we gotta get this done or they might go away.
Well, again, I only want to see something happen one way or the other. Like I've said from the beginning of this process, we are supportive of the county and the city coming together. Just like was discussed, just like
That's why you pit them against each other.
Good said, our personal opinion is that the cities in general, I'm not going to just say this city, I'm just going to say cities in general. Because we have, I mean, I'm just saying, it's the same thing we dealt with down in Salt Lake County and Utah County with our developments down there. We believe that municipal cities are set up and designed to handle municipal services. And we believe that the counties have a lot of other things that they have to deal with. And especially when we're talking a project, well, not just our project, but all of that area, just like Councilman Good said, the densities and those things in there are probably appropriate in the city. But we're not unhappy with our development in the county. We're not unhappy with what we've done there. It's been good development. We don't want to be the person that tears these two groups apart. We want these two groups to come together. And we feel that if it's best served by everyone, that we're best served by the city, then we support that. And we're fine for being there. If the city doesn't want us to be there, we're still fine with working with the county.
Then why?
I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Okay, if Heber were to work through this process and it would take about a year to get the annexation map back to the size it was and everything got approved the way that we would like to see it, would that 1 year delay create a city in that area? Would you think, you know what, I need to go back and tell these guys we need to make our own city because it's going to take us a year?
No, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case. I
think there's a fear that's been implanted that if this doesn't happen over a 2 or 3 month period, that this annexation map is not approved, that Sorensen and others would start to do the process of creating their own city.
Yeah, I think
realistic.
It's been quoted in this meeting.
Yeah.
That very thing has been quoted here by another developer. That you're on the cusp of doing the city if we don't move along.
But we are.
That's what was quoted.
Well, I mean, I certainly know there are a couple of other developers that are a little more boisterous than we are and probably have a shorter time frame window than what we have. We obviously have a project that goes a long time.
Well, those would be little cities. Those wouldn't bother us.
Yeah, okay. And I explained this to Councilman Franco when I spoke to her earlier. We're kind of at that point in our development, and based on where you guys have discussed the annexation boundary going, of being ready to move to the next phases. And I'll be open, we'd like to move down to Coyote Lane, that area, and start developing. You know, we started on the north side, now we'd like to start from the south and go north, right? Well, the thing about it is I don't want this to take forever because we need to move to that next phase by next year and be moving into that phase next year and going north. Well, once we start doing that and we make that, or we go down that path, and if we go down that path with the county, then it kind of turns us away from being able to annex at that point, if that's what was going to happen. Well, so we'd be starting down a path that that's the way we go.
In the worst case scenario,
right?
But just in the worst case scenario, what I'm asking you though is, in the worst case scenario, if it takes 12 months to get the map approved and to move forward,
Yeah.
then does that then push you to say, okay, we got to start developing in the county? What is your window?
I wouldn't say that now. I mean, again, we would like to move on our next phase on the south end and be doing that next year. Does that make sense?
Right.
Wherever we are, that's
my
where we would like to be.
recommendation to the council, for some citizen in this meeting, my recommendation to the council is to wait until your new manager is in place. Let them help the review, because what I've seen of the candidates, out of the top 3 for certain, is that they would be deliberate with this process, and I think that it would be good for any potential annexer to have that person in place as well. So what I'm saying is, let me just finish the point, and I'll just put a bow on it. I don't, based on what I'm hearing, I don't think there's pressure that the city has to get this done in a hurry, but soon, within 8 to 12 months. That's
Timely manner.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So it's fair that it takes a year on the policy plan and then the annexation. So that's what he's saying. So if you take a year on the policy plan and then the annexation is going to take another year to work through all these details.
I guess the hard part from my perspective is we've done so much work with the county and put so much effort in with the county as to the plan. We could go to the next phase tomorrow, right? I mean,
Then why?
All of that stuff is.
So 3 to 6 months.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Right. Okay, I'm just trying to understand where the pressure is coming from.
So, to me, it's more of, can this council get up to speed as to what the county has already done and put together?
Well, I guess that's what we've been asking, hence the referendum potential, to get up to speed before you do this. That's what we're asking.
Let me finish that thought. The other night in council, county council, I asked, so what happens if we don't do this, at least for a while? Well, you can ask for subdivision to the county anytime.
I can, and we're building one.
I know.
100 acres. So there's nothing that our delay is stopping you from going to the county and doing any piece you want.
You're absolutely correct.
So let's just not mislead on that.
No, he just said
right.
that if they start going that direction,
Yeah.
they're not going to
That's
add.
their decision.
Yeah, it is.
You're right. That's absolutely correct.
One of the things that comes into the mix is, as they sell lots, they have more individual property owners, and the signatures they have to get on the petition and the assessed values and those kind of things change. Could be more difficult.
Well, I just think, the biggest thing is you can't create islands and peninsulas out there, right? And once we start developing on the south end, that just kind of shuts the door.
So that's all I was saying. Once they start developing, I just want us to have the option to look at it.
And so here's a list, I'm trying to make sure it's your list and our list. Keith, is he still here? Keith, you said that these first 4 were ready to go?
He mentioned.
You said that these are ready for the public hearing?
Well, Tony mentioned 2 that will be on. Let me speak.
Okay, but the rest.
Oh, is he here? I thought he left.
Let them say let them say what their report is,
Yeah, can you?
rather than speaking
I just
for
want to double check. These first 4 are ready for the public hearing.
Yes.
And I think, have I said this right?
3 does not need to go to the public hearing.
Okay, well, but you're going to have the meeting. You've got the meeting set up with UDOT.
Good point.
And then the highway setbacks, that's the ordinance that's ready to go, right? But we don't have the North Village Code.
That one's 99% there.
Really?
Yes.
Keith, you told me that was going to take longer. Good job. Okay, so this one's almost there.
It's very convoluted.
When put a public hearing.
That's what we like to hear.
We could do a public hearing on June 7th for that.
Okay, so this one could be added in, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now, how about the land use zones with the density and the plats?
I don't even know what that means.
Adopting the same zones.
Well, that's part of number 5.
That's part of number 5, so
Yeah.
there aren't any other zones besides the North Village.
The others,
zone.
what? There's the RA1 zone.
The Jordanelle zone.
that we-
JBOZ.
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 So that's what I'm saying, are there any other zones that we need to look at besides North Village? So, I thought we had, well, you had it
It's
already,
JBOZ's on this list. It's not on that list. Well,
so we still need to do this, right?
Well, from how it was explained to me from Doug Smith, that we do not need to adopt the JBOS. That the Sorensen grounds were originally part of the JBOS, but last year there was a consolidation of the Sorensen properties under the North Village codes.
Yeah, we agreed in the county that we would do
on top.
on top according to the North Village Code. Remember that
And
last
so the idea,
Yeah.
so the concept was that the city would adopt the North Village Code and the approved Sorensen master plan as the zoning map for that area. So
certainly not.
we are having the planning commission adopt an RA1 zone, which is a 1 acre zoning that is very similar to what Wasatch County has in the event that the city has to consider Wasatch View acres. And we all know that.
Well, that's the next
Right.
thing. Let's go over here. Is the county ready to agree to leave Wasatch View acres?
I hope not. As an island, I hope not.
Why do you say that?
So let's just make it clear. Is the county, do you know if the county, or has the county said that they would leave this as county in Wasatch View acres, or that they do not want to leave this county?
We haven't discussed that as a council. I can't speak for that as a council.
We discussed last night about Wasatch View Acres, and I had spoken with Mike Davis, and he said that if I can prove that the majority of the people in Wasatch View Acres want to stay in 5 acres, then we can stay as is. And that he said that, because in the Utah Code, if the county and the municipality agree, we can remain an island.
And we do that.
But we have to vote to allow them to be an island.
We do have the majority of the votes.
Mike Davis is not a legislator. It's the same issue we keep having. We're the legislators, he's the legislator, Mike Davis is.
Okay, so there's a potential there of adding that in to an MOU, but it depends on you working with the county, right? Okay, so now road
The
standards.
road standards are part of the North Village Code. The North Village Code, in fact, when I've looked at our road standards in the North Village Code, our road standards that the city of Heber City has are very close to what the county has adopted. And that's one of the issues that we need to work out is, I mean, we're talking within 1 or 2 feet.
Well, yes.
And so,
We provided our bid hard to know where one
that's right.
So now we're to 10. Okay, so affordable housing, we know we're working on that as quickly as we can. At least that's my goal. Don't know if the rest of the council wants to do that, but that's something that could be, put into the MOU, affordable housing ordinance. And what about slope ordinance? How are we doing on that?
That's close, isn't it, Tony? I think
Is that
it's close.
close?
Is that in the North Village Code too?